hey, how do I stay in the state? I keep reacting to his actions in the 3D. Just don't be annoyed by this, but decide you didn't go out of the state. Decide that you're still there. You know, I've broken it down before, you know, states, versions of self, realities. They're really all the same. It's all the same thing, essentially. So, and just, you know, I get that question a lot. How do I stay in a state? How do I stay there? How do I not, you know, get kicked out of the state? And why do we ask that question? We ask that question because we hear, well, you manifest your state. You manifest who you believe you are. That's the paradox, the who you believe you are. So knowing that you are source, if you've accepted that, right? You personally, as the individual, you've accepted that you are source. Because of that, you're all there is. Every possible version of you, you're it now. Now I know from a logical perspective, like that can sound, well, that doesn't make sense. What do you mean I'm all versions of myself? It's because your awareness, your being, your isness is always in the eternal now. So not like linear time, present moment. I mean the now, the literal, all there is. You're always there. And where you're focused is what you experience, right? I call it like the awareness flashlight. When I think of it, I think of like an eyeball in the sky. That's your awareness. And where you're placing your flashlight is who you know yourself to be. But don't get confused with that, or don't apply a logic to that, because you being aware that you get kicked out of the state, or you being aware that maybe you react, right? Maybe you have a reaction, maybe you get triggered, blah, blah, blah. That does not have to immediately mean you're out of the state. You can still know yourself to be source and whatever version of yourself you want to be. You can still know that. You can still accept that. So don't equate having emotions and feelings or even particular thoughts as an automatic, I'm kicked out of the state because these things are happening. You can have a range of feelings and emotions. Let me try a different way of describing it. Okay, I know I'm a mom, right? I know I have a child. So I am of the awareness that I am a mother. I can experience all my emotions and feelings and still know myself as a mother. I'm a girlfriend, a partner. I know that's who I am. I can get triggered by something. I can get upset by something. I can have emotions and feelings. I can have certain thoughts, but I'm still a girlfriend, I'm still a partner. I'm still in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. So it never has to mean you're automatically out of the state. It's you who is ultimately deciding, I am not who I want to be. I am not in the state. You can simply just consciously know you're still there. Having feelings and emotions doesn't mean you're immediately out of the state. It just doesn't mean that. In my opinion, and quite frankly, even my old thinking, so if you went to like older videos, I would think that. I would think, oh, you know, I'm sad today. I'm being upset by 3D. I'm out of the state. And I would believe I was out of the state. So then what would reality present to me? Evidence that backed up the idea that I'm out of the state. All I needed to do was just return to knowing and accepting who I am, and everything would have been fine. So I like to say, return to your decision. Return to who you are knowing yourself to be as source. Just because we have triggers, just because we get annoyed with things in the 3D, doesn't mean we stop being who we want to be. Now, if your question kind of like rolls or whatever into the idea of, all right, well then how do I get my SP to stop doing shit that fucking irritates me? Ask yourself why you're perceiving things the way you are, right? So if your SP is doing something that you don't like, all right, why is it making you feel a certain way? What does it mean to you? And are you giving it some kind of meaning that must equal to you that you're not who you say you are, right? Because nobody can make us feel any kind of way. We choose to feel, right? We choose to let something bother us. And again, that's not me trying to, pick on you for feeling a certain type of way. That's not my point. I'm saying at every given moment, you as source, you have the ability to say, okay, this can annoy me and I expect this to change. I expect to have, a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship with my person. That is who I know myself to be. That's who I am. And you stand in that. And you'll see 3D kind of levels itself out because the 3D isn't separate from you. It is you, right? We think of the 3D as being on the outside of us, but it's not. It's in here. Do you see what I mean?